although these are things that are worth knowing, they're not the only things worth knowing. And I've just chosen some ideas that may be of use to you. Meeting somebody who we like and we are attracted to and we could consider potentially as a relationship, that is important, because it's quite difficult to have a relationship with yourself. But that is at most 50%. The other 50% is what we do ourselves. How we think about relationships, how we engage with other people, what happens when we start to relate with somebody. They tell me with total conviction, you can't help who you are attracted to. If I had $1 or €1 or £1, for every time that was said to me, I would definitely be able to afford to come to Jet. Right? People believe that you're attracted to somebody because that's how you are biologically. It is a natural phenomenon. You're attracted to the people who, for whatever reason, you are chemically drawn to. Well, my basic principle, sorry about that, is that is not true. Of course, our natural inclination does affect and influence the kind of person we're drawn to, but it does not control it. And in fact, there is something called perception. So I'd like to ask you now to raise your hands to the following questions. Do you know people who meet someone that other people regard as very nice, but they're turned down because they're not, and here's my word, wow enough? They're not special, that they're not amazing, that we think that they're ordinary. There's nothing to get excited about. They're just like nice. And so we think they're not interesting.
That's exactly proving the fact that it's all about gut feeling. I mean, you're attracted or you're not. I mean,
Richard is of the school that
absolutely,
it's a gut reaction. Many people are left to meet someone and they go away kind of a bit flat, a bit kind of disappointed. Nothing really wrong with them, but there was nothing eye-catching, nothing special.
which is not attraction. I mean, attraction is like, whoa.
Exactly. So we have a scientific definition of attraction, coined by Richard. Attraction is, I hope I get the pronunciation right, is whoa.
It's either there or it's not.
That is what we can discuss today. We are sometimes attracted to people who are mildly screwed up because they are more interesting. Interesting people may be interesting for problematic reasons. Screwed up people are fascinating. They are always more interesting than normal people. Why is it that we find people, those who are, let's say, unstable, to be more interesting at face value? We find ourselves more naturally attracted to them. This cartoon figure quite likes that dress until she sees the price tag and then cools off the idea. Why? Can somebody please explain to me what this cartoon is about? Anyone?
She's sensible.
Okay.
She's sensible.
She's sensible. Sensible, she likes it, so she pays the money. If you like it enough.
No, it looks like she's walking away. That's why I'm saying she's sensible.
Yeah, but why? That's not sensible. If you like a dress, you should buy it,
And
no?
then she's thinking, well, you know, it's expensive, and I say sensible.
Okay, speak up.
She is doing a balance, no? The attraction and the price.
Okay, but if you're attracted to it, attraction is something which you should
The
go
side
with.
of the price is, I would say, heavy. Because
You think okay.
It's unattainable.
Okay, someone said she doesn't like it that much. Anybody else?
It's unattainable.
Unattainable?
Too heavy an investment for her.
Too heavy an investment?
Too high a price to pay.
Too high a price to pay? If you're attracted to the kind of person who comes with a very heavy price tag, then it starts to look less attractive. The idea doesn't look as promising as it did. Anybody who relates to this? Boring is the new exciting. If you meet someone and you say, my goodness, they're boring, that's a compliment. That means they're just normal. It means that they're not putting on some hyperactive show. It means that they're not all over the place and therefore endlessly interesting, because who wouldn't want to see someone jumping around making a fool of themselves? But not necessarily very promising long-term partner.
What is normal?
Just take one look. Normal is not an objective concept, but I'm trying to contrast, for the sake of help here, that we understand, psychologists understand, people who know about these things are very aware that it is genuinely more interesting to be with somebody manic for 4 days. That's when it starts to become a problem. Let me ask you this. 98% of the time, attraction happens when? On the first time you meet. What you first attracted to somebody is when you first meet them, obviously. That's why you talk to them. The problem is that at that point, attraction is not the same thing as it is on your 5th date. Would you go back to somebody 5 times? They would have to be giving you the signal that this is something which could last, something where there's mileage. If we are the kind of people who feel the need and the urge to come across a bit like this, because we feel that makes us more interesting to other people, that we do kind of put it on a bit more, should know that that's fine if you want to have some fun. It's not a great strategy if you want to set up a relationship which is going to be long-lasting. It's a temptation we've all got to break out of, because it doesn't help us. If anybody knows this, please, anybody's seen this, then just don't spoil the fun. But can I have a volunteer who's never seen this image before? Please stand up.
Woo!
Right, there's 2 boxes, yes?
Guess so.
Yeah, now, what colour is the top one?
Grey.
What colour is the bottom one?
White.
Is there anybody here who has not seen this before? Is there anybody who's, for the first time seeing this, disagrees with this analysis? Yes?
I think it's all white, it's just on the shadow, no?
It's all white. What do you say? Actually, everybody is wrong. Please come forward. I'm going to do nothing but watch. Take your arm and stick it across the middle part which separates these 2 boxes. Just stick your arm straight across. What colour is the bottom one? It's the same colour. They're both grey. Can you see yourself? I'll do that. Watch this. It turns grey. Right? So, right.
It actually looks like colours from him anyway.
There you are. You're just too smart. We knew that. Anybody smart is not allowed to participate in this workshop. So, by the way, somebody would say, it is or it's not. It's either grey or it's white. How, if you put your arm there, does it change it? The answer is, it is an optical illusion. They are both grey, but because this is shaded, it looks somehow like it's different. When we meet somebody and we say, you're attractive, I'm saying you saw. What can be clearer than what your eyes see? Well, turns out our eyes don't always give us the right reading. They can throw us off unless you're super intelligent, in which case you'll never be fooled. Most of us are capable of being duped. The attraction is not biological, it is mental. It is attitudinal, fancy word. It is about our attitude. It's about what we're looking for. This is some fancy wording just to show you how clever I am. That attraction is about what we're looking for. If a person is attracted to somebody because they want to have a short-term relationship, they're looking just to hook up with somebody, they may find a different kind of person attractive to somebody they may be thinking of as a potential long-term partner. So this was a real scientific study. Ready for this? Now, I'm going to ask you a question. The men, assuming you're heterosexual, if not, fine, no problem. These are female faces, these are male faces. Please, if you choose the face that you find most attractive. I don't know if I want to embarrass you. Yeah, I'm going to. Why not? Hands up, who found the people on the right more attractive? Hands up, who found the people on the left more attractive? And here is the scientific information. They found out that that people who are looking for a long-term relationship went for these kind of people. When people are looking for a long-term relationship, they then chose the softer looking, more dopey looking maybe you would say, but softer looking features than the more traditionally attractive features that people find attractive for more superficial reasons. Scientists have done a major study to work out what is it that people find most important when they are explicitly looking for a long-term partner. And the answer is what you see in front of you here. And what's interesting is, although you see here, the first one is mutual attraction, what the scientists behind the study point out is that physical attractiveness, the most basic, let's call it sex appeal, was not one of the 5 things. It was more general kind of attraction, not purely physical attraction, that was given as a top priority. So the question then is this. If it is that most of us kind of know this, that when you're trying to have some fun, it's very different to when you're trying to think of a long-term relationship which is hopefully going to last. How come that so many people, it seems, find themselves going after things which are very sensible and logical if you're looking for a short-term partner, but don't make a great deal of sense if you're looking for a long-term relationship? This is from a scientific paper. I wanted you to see that how boring they can make something as interesting as sex. We are human beings and very susceptible to being distracted by things which appeal to our short-term interests but neglect our long-term concerns. However, ladies and gentlemen, I haven't really answered the question. The question I'd like to ask you now is, but why? Why, if we kind of realize that there's a big difference, we still find it hard not to, and we struggle to be able to put our brains to make that transfer? Why we can't get no satisfaction. I'm going to share with you now some serious scientific stuff, but in a fun way, I hope, which will really give us some new understanding of ourselves. Why do men pursue women they have no intention of marrying? Answer: the same reason why dogs chase cars, they have no intention of driving. Do you find that you really want to date someone, like you've got to get a date with a person, you're really motivated, attracted, and then when you actually get to speak with them, you get to spend time with them, you discover that they're not nearly as desirable as you had hoped. They're more appealing to our eyes, they're more appealing to us when we want to be with them than we actually are with them. We're not as interested anymore as we were before we got to them. Yeah, I'm getting some responses like frequently. Do you find that you sometimes are enormously attracted to someone who excites your imagination, provokes your fantasy, and then when you actually are with them, they make you miserable? Why does this happen? And to answer this, I'm going to use an ancient method invented by the Greeks called popcorn. There was an experiment done, and they persuaded a cinema them to give the same big tubs of popcorn, only with one minor difference. The popcorn was 14 days old. And this is what happened. People came to the cinema, they bought the big tub of popcorn, and they amazingly ate 60% as much as they would normally eat. They ate through most of the popcorn before realizing that the stuff is disgusting. Right? Because it tastes of stale oil. Anybody here know what stale oil tastes of? It tastes almost as bad as I speak. What do you think their reaction was when they realized that they weren't quite as attracted to popcorn? Well, here's the most amazing part. Not one of them complained. Why do you think that they sat through a bag of popcorn? In fact, it was quite clearly unpalatable. They must have somehow been able to convince themselves that it actually tastes good. And let me explain to you how it works. There are two parts of the brain. There's something called the reward center, and there's something called the pleasure center. The reward center is the part of our brain that makes us want to be happy. That makes us want to have pleasure. That when we see that dress or that suit, makes us want to get off our seat to go get it. Why? Because the brain tells us, you better get that because it's going to make you very happy. The pleasure center is the part of the brain that actually senses pleasure. That when you actually do something you enjoy, that's the part of the brain that lights up. So if I put a bowl of chips there. When you see that bowl of chips, you haven't tasted the chips. But you know what chips taste like because you had them before. So when you see those chips, you get all excited. The brain, you can test it, gets light bulbs going off crazy. His favorite snack. What's going crazy in your head? It's not actual pleasure, is it? Because you haven't tasted anything yet. What is it that's going crazy? It's the anticipation. It's the part of the brain that says, ooh, chips. I like chips. I know I like chips because last time I had them, they were damn good. When you actually eat them, that part of the brain is now gone. The new part of the brain lights up is the part that enjoys chips. Now, how proof? Proof is this. So that's my favorite. So some people say that looks really good, and I eat it. What happens if I look at that and think, ooh, it's going to be good, and I take a piece and I bite into it? And unfortunately, it is cardboard. It is stale. It is horrible. What went wrong? I was so excited when I saw it, and now I'm wanting to throw it up. The expectation was the part of the brain that lights up and says, this is exciting, you've got to have that cake, you've got to go get that cake, forget about the calories, diet, take that cake. It's a different part of the brain than the brain that actually tastes the cake. And if the cake tastes like crap, then unfortunately your brain is not going to enjoy it. In reverse, how many of you have been, as children, were told, do something horrible, not eating it, and then somebody managed to persuade you, at least taste it. And you said, actually, it's not bad at all. Can I have some more? The part of the brain that tells us to want it didn't recognize it, said yuck. The pleasure part of the brain, the actual taste buds, if you want, they don't care what the other part of the brain thinks. It tastes good. So they enjoy it. They ask me, what the hell are you talking about? Why are you talking about a reward part of the brain and a pleasure part of the brain? All to do with relationships. When we see someone and we get excited, we think, oh, I noticed that girl over there. She looks really interesting. What part of the brain is actually lighting up? The reward part of the brain that's getting us all excited, that motivates us to want to do something. The pleasure part of the brain doesn't know anything. It's sleeping. There's nothing to happen. All it is a belief, a hope of some kind of nice stuff. When you actually meet the person, that part of the brain that got you to go over to her has done its job. What part of the brain now kicks in? The part that actually has to live with the consequences. And you say, it doesn't match up. We can use our previous experience of knowing what works and doesn't, and not believe our reward center that tells us always to run again after the same thing that it wanted. I need to revise and update my register and actually know I'm going to go for something which actually makes me happy, not something my brain tricks me into thinking will make me happy. People think I'm outrageous for saying this. They really, I know I do. They tell me, I'm attracted to that person. You're trying to tell me that I'm not? You know better than me when I'm attracted to you? You crazy? Will you live inside of me? I'm saying no. I'm saying to you that there's two yous. And the part of you at the moment that's making you choose is the part of you that believes in pleasure, not the part of you that actually experiences pleasure. So this half of the brain gets you into trouble, the other half of the brain has to put up the consequences. So that before you think of somebody to a perfect date, ask yourself, is this person going to really make me happy? Not is this person somebody who my brain is excited about because it believes it will make me happy. Do I know anything about my own life experience that suggests that this is really a person who I could be happy with? There's a difference, and we're intelligent people, with a few exceptions. Would you consider it acceptable if on the first date I asked you a question as follows? I said, if we got married and we were on a boat together and there was only one lifeguard, would you let me have it? Let me ask you a less radical question. And is this acceptable on the first date? Would you like to be the mother of my children?
It
Is it acceptable to ask somebody whether they'd like to have children on date 1? Hand up if the answer is no. If you were to ask somebody on the first date, do you believe in marriage? Would you like to get married? Is that an appropriate question on the first date? What I'm going to do is take you through a concept called, with a very fancy word, which is dating trajectory. That means the pathway of dating. You start out, you've never heard of the person, you've never met the person, and then what happens is as follows. You meet somebody, you like them. As a result of the fact that you like them, you choose to continue to see them. At some point, you go from liking them to loving them, and if that really goes well, you will end up living with them. Now you may say this is obvious, but I'll explain to you why some people get into trouble. You start out with yourself. You want to be happy. Hands up, who's ever dated somebody because they felt bad for the other person? You ever gone over to somebody and say, would you like to go on a date? I don't really fancy you, but I can see you're pretty miserable, so I'll fill the favor. You do that all the time. Well, I've already worked out who my date is for tonight. But you do understand it's very unusual for someone to go on a date with somebody, not because they have any attraction to them or interest in them, but only because they want to help them. Yeah, it's not a charity act. You do it. Why are you on a date? Because you want to make yourself happy. Truth. So it's all about art. But once you get to know somebody, you start to care about them, and it becomes less about making yourself happy. You genuinely want to see that other person happy. And if that goes very well, you end up a couple. And in which case you both look after each other, and it works hopefully very well. One final way of presenting it is connect. You meet somebody and you connect with them. You say, hi, I'm Yossi. And they say, hi, I'm hopefully Brittany. I think, not right. And what happens is you make a good connection, and if that goes well, you converge, you become a couple. You take your Facebook status down and you say, I'm now Yosselino. And then if it goes very well and you converge and you become an item, I think is the official expression, you then end up with a commitment to stay that way. People can get stuck here or here. Who here thinks that men are commitment phobic? I want you to know this. Men are not commitment phobic. Nor are women. Because they're not. What it is they don't understand, and women sometimes don't understand either, how to transition from a point where you're kind of comfortable being with someone to the point where you actually form a permanent bond. And that is a transition which people get stuck on. I'd like to focus, though, in the next 2 minutes on the first part of that transition. Of course, every couple is different. And every couple will find, or every individual will find, the right rhythm in their own relationship or the right timing for their own personality. But let me tell you, too many people think you can't talk about certain topics. And I know numerous people who were embarrassed to talk about issues like, for example, sexually transmitted disease, but apparently not to actually have sex. Maybe I don't know what planet I come from or something, but I would have thought that in terms of exposure, you're exposing yourself a tiny bit less by asking the person, do you mind telling me, am I going to carry your sexual diseases the rest of my life? As opposed to the other form of exposure, which we'd imagine to be a little more emphatic. So why is it that people feel that they have to put off certain delicate topics? Broadly speaking, couples who are dating because they know, we all know, you're not kidding anybody, by the way. For a lasting relationship, we're not looking for someone just to have some fun with or to have a friendship with. Do you know this on J-Date? People that click, what are you looking for? Friendship. Who the hell are you lying to? Who on J-Date is looking for friendship? You want friendship? In London Zoo, you can become a friend of a panda. It costs you £3 a month. Nobody goes on J-Date for friendship. What are you talking about? There are only two kinds of people on J-Date. Those who are there for sex and those who are there for marriage. Everything else is a lie. then absolutely no reason why you should not, once you feel you're in some kind of rhythm as a dating couple, to start talking about the things that matter. Don't wait until you're involved and then say, oops, I forgot to ask you whether you've been chemically sterilized. It's not the right order. So here is four examples. Guys, you're idiots at this. You're with somebody, you're dating 4 times, and you said, oh, by the way, I just booked a holiday to Greece, you want to come with? Why did you ask him, idiot? You don't book a holiday for only 4 days. What do you mean, only 4 days? You are dating or you're not? People, I know this actually happened a few weeks ago. He went and organised for $10,000 or more, probably $20,000 worth of refurbishments to his flat. He's dating someone for like 2 months, and she's saying, one second, am I or am I not? You're just going to spend all this money decorating. If this is going to happen, I'm going to be part of it. Why are you not talking about it? It doesn't make sense. But this happens, and it happens so often that I feel I have to say this, even if I make lots of enemies. Or relocation, moving. Oh, I'm moving to Manchester, I'm moving to Zurich, I'm moving to Cologne. 1 second a minute. What? Have you been dating for the past 2 months? Well, we're not a couple yet, nobody's got married, there's no ring. I'm thinking, what are you talking about? Think as a couple. And of course, you change your career. Oh, by the way, I quit my job. What have you just done? You just quit your job? You're trying to form a relationship? Do you have another flat? Once you've been with somebody 3 times, you owe them an explanation. End of. And similarly, big issues. Don't wait until I don't know when to raise them at things that matter. You're not busy trying to find out whether you have common taste in Chinese noodles. You're there for a reason, so talk about it. For example, do you believe in marriage? I date the person for 3 months. Oh, I don't believe in marriage. So that's my white dress on, is it? Thank you. Babies. Where you want to live. Your religious differences. Don't delay these conversations indefinitely. You can't change your partner, so don't try. You can't change your partner, so don't try. Don't get involved with someone in order to change them. Even if you need a tune-up or an entire paint job, it's not for you to do it. So here is an example of what it feels like when you're being continuously told what's wrong with you. This is what some women think is their job in life. So their job is to fix the guy. The problem is that he subscribes to that. Can I tell you a secret here? This is for women, so men know this already. Women. We men know the faults we have. We just don't bloody care. Okay? Now, I just said this to the women. Is there a single man who disagrees with that statement? Okay, I think that's confirmed then. If he is content or she is content with his or her flaws, if we want to be with them, we've got to be content with them too. Very simple. That's the story. And if we are still having difficulty with that thing, I really like the guy, but, and if he is going to have me in his life, he is going to have to X, then should I say or should I do? Should I say or should I go now? Should I say or should I... So let's get the movement going here. Okay. So the basic principle is this. If you don't like it, leave. And if you're not willing to leave, then just shut up. You wouldn't go into a church and try and convert the parishioners to Islam. You wouldn't go into a country and western bar and play 50 Cent. Don't go into somebody's life and try to change them. It won't work. You're wasting your time. I am a perfect example. I've never changed. So if you're with a girl who you really like, but she's quiet, she's awfully quiet and a bit shy and doesn't really make herself, they take her to parties, she kind of sits about on her own, thinks that it's really embarrassing. If only I could get her somehow to be louder. I need more excitement in my life, I need some more noise. So here's my suggestion. If you need more noise, then get yourself an iPod. This is who she is. Don't try and make her into something she is not. You can perhaps teach a dog new tricks, but you cannot, unfortunately, turn a dog into a cat. Some people will say, yeah, but if she really loves me, and if she really cares about me, then she will do it for me. Well, then I've got some unfortunate bad news. And just to offend you a tiny bit more, I think you might as well just admit it. Sometimes we end up bringing upon ourselves problems nobody else but ourselves has caused. So let me ask you as follows. You're dating someone and he says, why don't we go for an Indian meal or curry? And you're not a big fan of that type of cuisine. So do you agree or do you disagree? She says to me, I'd like to go and see a West End musical. I kind of hate them, especially with Billy Elliot, the worst. And I'm thinking, I'm going to sit for 2.5 hours of this crap, and I'm going to pay £40 a ticket. You're joking. In your dreams, £40 a ticket. Then that's at the back where you volunteer to clean up afterwards. You get a discount. But should I agree to go, or should I say no? Hands up who thinks I should say yes. Hands up who thinks I should say no. It's pretty even. This. I'm very impressed. But for fairness, you guys, I've got to give it to you. Right?
Isn't that what relationships are? It's self-sacrifice.
That's the perfect definition. Relationships is self-sacrifice. It's basically misery from the beginning to the end. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, the answer is neither. If you don't agree or disagree, here's a word you may find comes in useful. It begins with a D. Discuss. Why do you want to go for the Indian? If he really loves Indian and you hate it, you never go, and he really wants to go, he doesn't want to go without you, you'll say, you know what, that's really sweet of you. So I'm going to go, I'll find something I can please you told me, and I'd love. But if the issue is, he doesn't even care, and she's just going along with it because kind of thinks that that's the pleasing thing to do in the relationship, in the end, what happens is, every single time you do that, you're taking one of these, and you're putting it inside your pocket. And you end up with pockets full of rocks, and you end up looking a bit like this guy. And you spend your whole time thinking, and I did this for her. I went to that can you believe that? What a good guy I am. I went to the musical. I hated the musical. The whole way through I was crying. I went, I sat there, I did it. Then she wanted me to go with her to a gynecology. I went with them. Right? She wanted me to, I did it. I went to see her mum every Friday night with her mum. You've no idea who her mum is. I go. And you know what I get back? Right, nothing. Who the hell asked you to be a martyr? Don't carry so many rocks. Doesn't mean never ever do something kind, but understand that there's a difference between giving in a relationship and carrying rocks. Carrying rocks are where you don't want to do it, you're not happy about doing it, you don't have any joy in doing it, you do it because you think if you are a martyr, if you have self-sacrifice, then you're going to earn the right to happiness. No, you will not. I just dealt with a person now who's 47 years old, and he has done this for 25 years, and he's therefore not in a relationship. What happens is this. He meets a woman. Oh, I need to redecorate my house, you wouldn't believe it. He says, don't worry, I can redecorate, I'll come do it. So for 3 weekends, he spends the whole Saturday and Sunday painting the place. Can you imagine? And later on, what can a woman do to possibly pay that back? Nothing. So he walks around with great resentment. I spent 2-3 weekends, so you won't believe it, sweat on my head. No woman can pay a man back for that. Just don't do it. Right? He's been giving and giving and giving. Why is he doing all this giving? Not because he cares so much, but because he thinks by doing that he earns all this credit. He earns his credit with no one. Nobody even knows this credit. And the first time anybody finds out that there's a whole bill is when later on she gets thrown with that, I did this for you and that for you. And I didn't even know you were thinking of it like that. There are 3 ways to respond to a disagreement. You can always insist you're right, and just hope, she likes you a lot. Or you can concede always, even when you don't agree. Say, okay, fine. In which case, you're probably going to find yourself one day bursting with resentment. Or you can discuss it, talk about it, and even if you disagree, you can disagree out of a position of understanding. They feel heard, they feel listened to, and you can move on from there. Here is a final exercise to tell whether you are such a person. If you answer yes to these questions, any of these questions, then you're doing this. You should hopefully not have answered yes to any of those. Because if yes, then that may be a reason why you end up in a relationship, you feel you give a lot, you don't feel you get anything back, and in the end it just unravels. You have to be able to ask someone for something back. That you cannot be in a situation where you say, well, she should have realized that I needed it. Where did it say that? Which book did you read that in? The American Constitution says women have to understand what men need. We have to be willing to tell people what our needs are. We've got to be willing to ask for things. And we've also got to understand, don't go over the top and try and rescue. Men are rescuers. We come and we rescue people. We'll fix your car. We'll take care of your life. Leave your accounts to me. I'll sort it out and speak to the tax and revenue office. 1 second. Are you perhaps now giving way beyond the call of duty, putting her in a situation where she could never pay you? I say this to men because I think men are more guilty of it, but women too. The car men will nurse you, bend over backwards, and they believe they shower you with such devotion. You're going to be so indebted to them that you'll never ever to leave them because you owe them so much. Unfortunately, there is a Jewish teaching. People don't like people they owe money to.